Then the next speaker is Gergana Nikolova from ATTA, which stands for Adventure Travel Trade Association. And she's the regional director of Europe and Central Asia. And she will present some kind of profile of the post-COVID-19 traveler. Gergana, are you with us?
Yes. Hello, good morning. Thank you very much, Tatiana, and everyone. I will first here share the slides. Thank you very much for today's opportunity. We want to continue. Yes. Learning new skills now in this virtual environment that we are all. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, first I want to thank the Larne region for the opportunity to be here today and present some of the insights and discussions that we've been having at the Adventure Travel Trade Association and our community for the expected or anticipated change in the traveler behavior as a result of the current crisis. Our curiosity motivated some proactive research as well as collaboration with various teams and experts. So let's start. Here is the journey that we will take the next about 15 minutes. I'll give you a little bit of background about Adventure Travel Trade Association, or ATTA, for those of you who do not know us yet. And then I will briefly describe how we reached to the insights I'm about to present, and we'll present 7 characteristics of the traveler we expect to see on the road after COVID-19 crisis. I will be available also towards the end of the webinar for any questions that you may have. So a few words about the ATTA. You're seeing here on this photo just a part of the team who are located around the globe. ATTA is a mission-driven organization representing the adventure community around the globe. Our mission is to inspire, connect, and empower our ecosystem to deliver experiences that protect the nature and culture and create shared economic value. Our constituency is over 1,300 member organizations in 100 countries, including tour operators, tourism boards as the Larne region, specialty agents, accommodations, and tourism professionals. So before diving into the main content today, I want to say a few words about how we generated the insights that I will be presenting. Here is a bit of the methodology and the sources. There are 3 main sources that shaped our thinking. The first is analysis and synthesis of a series of reports and analysis on consumer behavior, human behavior in crisis, and expectations for the impact of COVID-19. We adapted these findings to the context of travel, and you can see some of the sources that we reviewed as part of the process. We also leaned heavily on our own community and thoughts and observations, knowledge, and other members of the ecosystem. A key role in this project was played by Gergana Nikolova, who is a traveler behavior expert who helped with the analysis and shared her own insights. All right, so let's dive into the profile of the post-COVID-19 traveler that we expect to see on the road after the end of the crisis. In the following slides, I will be sharing with you observations about the likely behaviors, along with evidence that already exists in the marketplace right now. So let's start. The first expectation we can formulate in the new levels of acceptance is the new level of expectance for virtual experiences in reality. While this is not completely new, the current crisis has accelerated this process to new levels. An example of how others are responding to that. Ubisoft, a gaming company, offers a free in-game discovery mode update in one of its popular games set in ancient Egypt, allowing users to virtually visit the Great Pyramids, Alexandria, and other locations in ancient Egypt. A second example confirming this trend comes from Taobao Life, a virtual marketplace that is part of the Alibaba group. The platform has started offering live streaming services for farmers and fishermen to help stimulate their sales. It allows customers to interact with their farmer and choose the product they want to buy in real time, as well as to see the farm where their fruits and vegetables are grown. So what does that mean for the traveler demand? We have identified 3 expected effects on behavior. First, the post-COVID-19 traveler will be very comfortable with virtual and live streaming experiences, so they will expect to be able to engage in such as part of the holiday planning and choice-making process. So perhaps part of the booking or itinerary design process will include virtual visits of the farm or winery or the lake where the traveler is considering as part of their holiday itinerary, or asking for a live stream tour of the B&B that they are considering. All these are possible expressions of this. Second, streaming options might become alternative or a key addition to personal photos and videos and serve as basis for sharing memories with friends or simply remembering a heartwarming experience. So for example, let's imagine that a couple visits the Larna region. When they come back and share with friends, in addition to sharing their own photos, they also may share a live streaming camera to Silian Lake. So certainly something to consider, both for the destinations and the service providers. Third, sorry, we are all realistic about the fact that the current crisis will be followed by significant economic stagnation that will limit the ability of people to travel even if there are no bans. In that context, we assume that this might trigger demand for low-cost alternatives to physical travel and actually become a substitute for those who cannot be on the road. Moving on to the second likely characteristic of the post-COVID-19 traveler, what we expect is that attitude towards hygiene will be radically different after the crisis, and it will be perceived as a non-negotiable. So anything from a food store like the one you see here to a museum and accommodation facility will be assessed through the prism of cleanliness. We have already seen airlines emphasize on the hygiene procedures in their communication at the very start of the current crisis. The expectation is that most operators, along with the entire value chain, will have to maintain different levels of cleanliness and, most important, demonstrate that. What does that mean for the traveler behavior? First, as we are already seeing, the expectation of our clients will be that hygiene will be a non-negotiable element of the service, the facility design, the actual experience. Travelers will expect that operators are committed to new standards and that they also communicate about the actions they're taking in this direction. We expect that a lot of accommodations, restaurants, and other service providers will begin including this information about cleanliness procedures in their regular and standard communication. Second, we think that the new hygiene and protection culture will fuel popularity of new travel accessories which can easily become souvenirs branded with destination or service provider logos. These can be protective masks, glasses, gloves, any other protection that will be used. So this also gives us some space for creativity. The third trend we expect is new demand for formalized hygiene standards and certification systems. It might be that destinations will start seeing the need to develop their own standards that will be followed by local industry, or that new certification systems that guarantee certain levels of hygiene will gain popularity and will be demanded by the traveler. Related to the previous point, we expect to see increasing demand for contactless solutions across different moments throughout the traveler experience. Customers will be conscious of the risks of touching surfaces that are touched by many people. In that context, contactless payment solutions which are prevalent already, will be non-negotiable, but contactless solutions will be expected for other services too, such as security scans, such as the fingerprint scan, which you can see here on the photo, but also airplane check-in, hotel check-in, and so on. So in this context, we expect that we might see people's tolerance towards facial recognition change very fast. Given that this might be an alternative to touching public surfaces, it might be that consumers will place more weight onto health concerns, which will push the privacy concerns associated with facial recognition to a second place. How do we translate this into travel? What does that mean for the traveler behavior? We have identified two possible effects. First, we think that the traveler will increasingly expect to be able to go through security identification, register, check-in, and of course pay using contactless and mobile solutions. Second, the rise of contactless solutions grounded on personal information will mean that the demand for more sophisticated security protection will grow fast. Health concerns will rule, but fears about privacy will follow as well. Moving to the fourth characteristic of the post-COVID-19 traveler, and this is the accelerated comfort with virtual solutions and interactions, including digital assistants. We feel that the home staying experience and full immersion in the digital realities accelerates this process. You see here an illustration of the human-looking digital assistant recently launched by Samsung, which is an example of the next generation of chatbots, and we think that this is a good illustration of the likely direction. In travel and tourism, we have already examples of technology-based interpretation services, so adding a human interface to that is likely to increase the comfort and adaptability to such solutions. So the likely effects that the increased comfort with virtual humans is likely to trigger are two. First, the demand for services that are delivered by virtual humans or avatars could increase very fast. Second, that opens an endless opportunity for creative solutions for both destinations and operators. Just imagine how destination can cater to the independent traveler by developing virtual avatar guides with different personality or persona styles and different preferences that match the different traveler segments. This is also an opportunity to take destination brands to a whole new level. So imagine how different country or region brands can instill the personality of their destination into the virtual guides and storytellers that cater to their guests. A major outcome of the current social distancing phenomena will be a desire to reconnect with the close ones and compensate for the time lost. This desire to socialize with your close ones will be in conflict with the remaining fear of crowds. So we expect that this will give rise to demand for experiences that are in small groups, allowing for interaction with your close ones rather than travels with large groups that involve contact with many different people. In that context, we think that the isolation and anxiety from the current crisis will give rise to demand for stress-relieving and rejuvenating experiences in nature, and Sweden is a perfect opportunity for this. We feel and hope that this crisis will fuel new demand for the powerful and wellness benefits that the nature offers, especially such that are shared with the close ones. So in that context, we expect definitely that the adventure travel will be on the rise. So the three possible effects that will be likely triggered from the desire to socialize but preference to avoid crowds. The first is that there will be growing demand for small group journeys and experiences that are shared with the family members and close friends. We expect that the fear from crowds will remain and will likely impact formats that involve interaction with larger groups. Second, as a result of the current dynamics, travelers will expect destinations and operators to take effective measures that avoid crowding regardless of what that might cost. Third, we expect that there will be growing demand for off-the-beaten-path experiences that allow for socializing with close ones, but do not involve crowds. The sixth characteristic I would like to share with you today is the expectation for care as a key element of the service. These unusual times of fear, life loss, and unusual isolation have unlocked unprecedented levels of social care and empathy. Brands behave as responsible members of the society. Companies are repurposing services, products, and spaces, and communities are helping members in need. This spirit of empathy and care is appreciated, and we expect that customers will continue to expect it, so service providers need to account for that in the post-COVID-19 situation. Many brands are behaving as responsible members of the society, demonstrating care for people, not just their own customers. In many ways, social distancing has translated to physical distancing, but actually social closeness, in which the average consumer is experiencing the same as leading brands and celebrities. This closeness and care for each other is something that we expect to remain even post-COVID-19. Brands, whether airlines, hotels, operators, or destinations, will not be able to reverse the relationship they're building currently with the members of the society. They'll need to find the best ways to continue acting as good citizens. So discomfort with care for each other is expected to trigger two effects. The first is the growing expectation that service providers will continue to care and be empathetic to the customers. Travelers will be looking for display of similar support and care beyond, and this will be part of the new normal. Similarly, once companies and brands have acted as good citizens, they cannot go back and roll into their shell. The expectation of the traveler, in fact every citizen, is to continue seeing brands behave as good, responsible citizens who set positive social norms. Previous crises that have involved an economic downturn have increased the demand for value in market exchanges. We expect that this will be very distinct in our industry as well when it recovers. The pursuit for value is not the same as pursuit for low price. On the contrary, if the traveler or their families are not impacted by unemployment, they will still pursue high-end experiences and will be ready to pay an above-average price tag. They will simply demand that the value they perceive for the price they are paying is significant and obvious. This means that destinations and service providers need to ensure that their value proposition is clearly spelled out in all its dimensions. The traveler needs to feel that the benefits that they are extracting from the traveler experience, such as emotions, rejuvenation, status, luxury, and so on, are cumulatively more valuable than the monetary price that they have paid. So strong focus on value is likely to produce two possible effects. The first is that travelers will be looking for information and descriptions that reveal the value potential of any experience. How well values are communicated and the extent of which it is relevant to the traveler will determine how favorable the price tag is perceived. And second, this lower time is a fantastic time to ensure that the value of the destination or company level offerings are clearly communicated. So in summary, here are a few takeaways. There's only one thing that is certain about COVID-19 crisis, and it is actually the uncertainty. It is exceptionally difficult to figure out what the post-COVID-19 travelers will be like, but we know that the current crisis experience will leave a deep mark on the attitudes and expectations that will be shaping their decision-making and consumption of future travels. So with this, I would like to thank you for the attention And at the end of the webinar, I will be available for any questions and comments. Thank you, Tatiana, and
Thank
dear
you for
team.
sharing, Gergana. We already have one question for you. Eric says here, it seems hard to draw conclusions about the aftermath of a crisis that is still in its early stages around the world. What do you think about that?
It is very difficult indeed. And we are monitoring, as indicated, various sources in order to try to prepare for both destinations and operators on what we assume that the traveler will behave. So yes, it is very different, but for sure we anticipate smaller groups, more expectation on hygiene, and well, very good communication right now. Just use the time for clear communication on the values, on the impact that the experience will bring to the person and the local community and so on.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very
Thank you
much,
again.
Gergana. Thank you for your time and
Thank
sharing.
you.